Hey guys, this is Reject, just letting you know real quick to hit the like button if you find this video at all helpful, and to share the video, more importantly, with everyone who needs to learn about the DC Universe game and how it works. I will do my part to make guides for you guys, and I will also try to help you myself, but by also sharing these videos and sharing the knowledge, we will be able to help each other. Thanks, and leave a comment down below, and have a good day. Traits is where you're going to go once you level up. You'll get a power point and you'll get a skill point up until the level of 30. They alternate between each time. So when you basically get to level 1 or level 2, you're gonna get a power point. On my next level, I'm going to get a skill point. So currently I have 1 out of 1 and 0 out of 0. So for my powers, let's go into my powers real quick. There's iconic powers. We're not going to go here yet, but I just want to quickly explain what iconic powers are. Iconic powers are basically powers that mimic a lot of the iconic heroes. So you'll have things like heat vision from Superman. You'll have the sonic cry from Black Canary. You'll have Amazonian deflection from Wonder Woman, and batarangs from Batman, and such, and so forth and so forth. But these you don't have to worry about, and to be honest, once you get at a higher level, they're not very useful. There are some things that are useful here, but again, I will explain that once we've reached level 30 or so. So let's go into both powers. You have two different powers to choose from. You have cryogenics and you have storms. And other powers have other names for their powers and things like that, but they all do their own thing. Remember, ice is a power for tanking, but you can also DPS in it. Now let's go into storms and let's read about our power. If you go to the left and you read on the left, at the very top, there is a little icon, if you could see me blinking over to it, that kind of explains your role and your character's power, if you press left all the way on the D-pad. So let's read it. It says, harness the power of storms to cause your enemies to ice over and freeze. Specializing in this tree grants plus 5% critical attack damage and 25 health. Now that's more of a DPS aspect when they add critical attack damage, whereas the 25 health is for tanking. Now let's go back to cryogenics. Cryogenics at the top, same spot, if you press left all the way. Cryogenics powers revolve around freezing things in ice, including yourself. Specializing in this tree grants 1% critical attack chance and 35% health. Now, if you read that 1% critical attack chance plus 35 more health, basically means that this tree is a little more defense oriented as opposed to the other one. Now, how do you specialize in a tree? That's basically real easy to kind of answer. Like I said, you get 1 point for every level that you go up, or every other level you go up until you reach level 30. So you should have a max of 15 power points once you reach level 30. And you will not get any more currently unless they raise a level cap or so, because level 30 is the highest level that you can go up to. So if you have 15 power points and you put 10 in this tree, you're going to get the bonus of 1% critical attack chance and the 35 health. And then if you go into storms and you put 10 in here and 5 in the other one, let's say, you're going to get the 5% critical attack damage and 25 health here. But again, you can read what your character's powers do. I believe they state it in both. Let's see, let's double check that though. For the most part, it kind of does, as you can see. But let's read both. Let's go up to storms and let's read what the tank role does, which is basically your character's main ability to do. Everybody can DPS, only ice can tank, and it cannot control, it cannot heal. So let's read what it says. In the tank role, all damage you cause is penalized by 20%, meaning once you're in a tank role, you're only able to do 20% of your actual damage. So even though your character's stats may be equivalent to a DPS's stats, that means your character is going to do 20% less than he does because you're a tank. You're not supposed to do as much damage. You're supposed to basically have more of a shielding effect. You're supposed to be able to take hits. While dominance, which is a stat, is increased by 100%, meaning that's your bonus, meaning you get double the dominance. So if you have 10 dominance and that DPS has 10 dominance, when you're in tank role, you're going to have 20 dominance versus his 10 dominance, which stays at a base of 10. Using normal storm powers increases your defense and toughness by 90%. So that means if your defense is 100 and you use a power, that means you're going to have 190 defense or toughness. Well, actually both. It's going to be both toughness and defense. I'll explain the difference later. And will attract the attention of enemies, causing them to attack you rather than allies, meaning that your enemies will then be aggroed to you. They will all focus on you when you use your powers on them, which is something you want to do as a tank. Finally, you gain +3 perception, improving your chances of detecting stealth using enemies. Now, all tanks are able to see enemies that are invisible a little easier than a person who does not have a tank role. Player versus player. While in tank role, you have a special advantage versus gadgets, mental, and light users. Now, what does that mean, basically? That means as a tank role, you're able to do more damage against a gadget, mental, or a light user. It's basically a rock, paper, scissors game, where the tanks are able to beat up the controllers, and the controllers are able to beat up the healers. But then again, the healers can beat up the tanks. So it's a big circle. Whereas the DPSs don't really have more of a disadvantage, but they don't have an increase advantage over anyone. You are immune to their debuffing effects and highly resistant to their controls. Some abilities provide you and allies total immunity controller effects. Attacking them may inspire confidence within you, briefly increasing your damage by 55%. So remember, you lose 20% in your roll, but you gain 55% if you're in a player versus player match and you're fighting a controller. So keep that in mind. And again, these are basically in every class. So no matter what power you choose, I suggest you read this and pick up on it and you learn from it, because it's very useful about your role and knowing your role and where your character is going to end up. So let's see. We have cryogenics, code snap. Now let's see what these two powers do. Rapidly cool your body temperature, damaging nearby enemies. While active, some incoming damage will be directed back at your attackers. Now that's the ability of ice. They grant themselves a lot of shields and they reflect the damage onto the users, basically. On the people that are damaging them or the enemies damaging them. Under storms, you have Inescapable Storm, which is a really good move to have as a tank. It is a pull move. Pull moves are basically what pull your enemies towards you and keep them on you. So if there is a stray enemy going to attack your healer in a group, you want to make sure you use this move to pull him away. So make sure you're very observant as a tank and make sure you're looking around for that. But again, right now we're in DPS role. Up until level 30, you can use whatever the hell you want and kind of like learn from your own mistakes and learn what works for you. So I'm going to use this move. I'm going to use Cold Snap because it reflects damage, and I don't need to pull anything right now. Let's see what it looks like. I now have a move to basically work against enemies. As you can see, she's covered in ice, or very chilled. And basically that's to use your powers. What you're going to do is you're going to hold L2 or R2, depending on where the power is at the bottom. So right now it's L2 and square. You can also change this by going into loadouts. You press start and you go into traits, the fist looking icon, and you go down to loadouts. And since I don't have my tank roll, which is what I will basically achieve at level 10, I can only do this, I can only do damage. So I can choose if I want to put it over here under L2 and triangle, or I can put it over here under L2 and square. Circle, I'm sorry. But let's keep it over here because I'm kind of used to it, and why not? Let's just go do that. I also reached level 3. Now again, let's see how many skill points I have. I have 1 skill point out of 1 now. As I said before, you're going to get a power point and a skill point up until level 30. There are ways to get more skill points, so don't worry about that. Again, that's going to be explained with the feats. So we're going to go into our skills, and we're going to see flight, and we're going to see weapons. However, our flight is kind of locked until we reach a certain level. As you can see at the left, top left, it says requires level 9. Every movement has a faster basic movement for your character. So if you're a flyer, you'll be able to basically have a faster movement speed while you're flying, known as supersonic, which is very helpful in the game and is definitely something everyone's going to need. So as a flyer, once I reach level 9, I'm going to try and grab supersonic. Supersonic allows me to reach point A to point B quicker than if I were to not have it. But I have to be level 9 to get it. So we'll skip that for now, and we'll go into weapons. Now, since my character chose a one-handed, I'm not able to pick any other weapons right now because I don't have any other weapons, neither do I have the skill points to spend in them. So I only have one skill point that I'm going to put in my one-handed for a combo. Now, as you can see, there's a whole bunch you can choose from once you get them, but we're going to focus on going straight down. You always want to go straight down because every weapon tree has innate abilities. These innate abilities allow your character to become stronger, but I will make a tutorial on that later. So we'll just keep going because, again, I'm not a tank right now. I don't have the level to be one. There's no need to be one. There's no reason to tank right now.